pictures from the 1900s can show us just how much our society can change in a couple of decades. Differences in technology, architecture, and style give us a peek into what our country's past looked like. However, there is a darker side to this truth. When you look at a romantic picture of a couple eating dinner at a lunch counter or a group of friends sharing a dessert at a soda shop, you can bet that just out of frame, there will be a sign on the door that says whites only. Fortunately, we no longer have this blatant racism legalized in America, and this is due to the tireless efforts of abolitionists like Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was an African-American civil rights activist. He was notorious for his speeches and his leadership skills. His work revolutionized our world today. Today, I'm going to be talking about Martin Luther King Jr., his life and his accomplishments. King's early life shaped him into the leader and speaker that we know him as today. King was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on January 15, 1929. He showed a strong aptitude for persuasive speaking at a young age. When just in high school, he went to the state level for an oratory contest. In this 1944 speech, The Negro in the Constitution, according to the primary source from kinginstitute.stanford.edu, posted in 2021, King said, "We cannot have a nation orderly and sound with one group so ground down and thwarted that it is almost forced into unsocial attitudes and crime." After graduating high school at the age of 15, he went on to attend Morehouse College and then Corser Theological Seminary. At the age of 19, he was ordained as a Baptist minister, and at the age of 25, he became the pastor of Dexter Avenue Church. Realizing that there was no Southern civil rights organization, King reached out to several leading African-American pastors throughout the South, resulting in the creation of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, with King acting as the role of its president. Now a leader in his community, King began to play a pivotal role in the leadership role for many peaceful protests in the 1950s and 1960s. His first one was the Montgomery bus boycott. King organized several peaceful protests as well as a bus boycott that lasted over a year, and when finally the Supreme Court declared that discrimination on public transportation was unconstitutional. Another notable campaign was the Birmingham Campaign. According to the Birmingham Campaign article on kinginstitute.stanford.edu, this particular campaign consisted of mass meetings, direct actions, lunch counter sit-ins, marches on City Hall, and a boycott of downtown merchants. Perhaps King's most notable accomplishment is the March on Washington. This is the protest in which he gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. This was the largest protest King ever led. In NobelPrize.com article, Martin Luther King Jr. biographical, it is said, in 1963, 250,000 demonstrators marched to Lincoln Memorial in Washington. King's words were beginning to heard all across America, and eventually his voice could not be ignored. At the age of 35, he was a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. He was the youngest man to ever receive this award, and he decided to give the $54,123 cash prize towards the civil rights movement. In the same year, the Civil Rights Act was passed by the Supreme Court, and while this didn't change everything, it was a great achievement for abolitionists. In the 2021 Martin Luther King Jr. article from NAACP.org, after his death in 1968, King was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1977 and received the Congressional Gold Medal in 1994 with his wife, Coretta. King used his talents towards the betterment of his people, and society is forever changed for that today. Today, I told you about Martin Luther King's life and his accomplishments. Today, we still see some systematic racism, but we have come far from the segregated lunch counters that we see in old pictures. King is an inspiration for scholars and leaders today. It is easy to speak your mind when you're in a position of power or in times of peace, and it takes a lot more bravery to stand up for the right thing in the face of discrimination.
This is it.